voice actor and a comic book artist, although I'm also a husband and father, so. Actually, you know, there's a line that Mace Hughes says, it's, sorry, but I have a wife and daughter to go home to, right? And in the auditions, that was one of the lines we had to say. And Colin Clinkenbeard, who was holding the audition, said, hey, Sonny, we're going to go out for drinks after the auditions. You want to go? And I said, sorry, but I have a wife and daughter to go home to. And she looked at me as I left, and she said, as you left the door, I thought, he's Hughes. That is definitely Hughes, so that's how I got cast in that. Primarily known as a voice actor on Dragon Ball Z as well. Krillin, you guys heard of him? Yeah. Also on that show, I played Bardock. A lot of people don't know, yeah. And that stupid robot in GT Hero, that was me as well. Let's see, what else? Oh, Usopp on One Piece. Which is back on Toonami. Yeah. And Lupin the Third. I did a lot of Lupin. You guys see the new Fujiko Mine series? The new Lupin? Oh, dude, it's badass. It is the closest thing in style to Monkey Punch's drawings of his comics. It is amazing. So yeah, check that out. I think it just was released at Funimation on DVD recently. Let's see, what else have I played? I played Drossel on Black Butler, the one that sings London Bridge is Falling. A little character called Apachai on Kenichi. You see that? Let's see, I was the original Toonami Tom for Cartoon Network. I raised you bitches.
And we love you for it!
I've literally done probably 70 characters you may have heard of and hundreds you never have heard of. I was also, you ever heard of a game called Splosion Man? I played Splosion Man in that. Borderlands 2, I'm all over that thing. Most of the Psychos. Let's see, what else did I do? Oh, I'm a comic book artist. Comics, yeah. Okay. Primarily known for my work on ElfQuest. I did 2 58-page stories for them. And my own series, We Shadows, which is the latest book called The Secret Origin of Goat. That was published at Tokyo Pop and did really well until Tokyo Pop folded. And do you guys know why they folded? Because I'll tell you the secret.
Why?
A lot of theories going out there, but I heard it from the horse's mouth. This is what happened. They had all of their money invested into Borders bookstores. And when Borders, yeah, you know, I don't have to finish the story, because you know, they lost over half their revenue overnight. And so they couldn't keep that giant monster afloat anymore. Luckily, in my contract, it said if they didn't publish the book by a certain time after getting the artwork, then the rights go back to me, and they hadn't published yet my second book. They paid me for it, but they hadn't printed it back. So I got the rights, I put it online, and now it's been like in the top 10 webcomics pretty consistently in the past year. And I've got a new book coming out next month. So, thank you. I'll give you a bucket for the camera. Make this candid. So this is a Q&A, and it can be about Full Metal Alchemist, since that's what the title is. But if you have other questions, I'm happy to answer them. I've been a writer at Funimation, I've been a director at Funimation, so if you have any questions about how to get into these fields, or what it's like in these fields, or what Vic Mignogna tastes like, to field in those questions for you. And also, if you don't catch me in the signing line, and you're here all weekend, I am going, right from here, I'm going back to Artist Alley. I have a table out there, so please come out and loiter, because I get really lonely. I think I got mustard in my mustache. That's those hot dogs. So let's field some questions. You guys have any questions? No? No, we do have one over here. What's your question?
Your battery's dying.
That's not a question.
I know.
I think it might be. Oh, well, I do anime, so I wouldn't recommend any of that. No, I'm just kidding. I have directed a lot of episodes of Dragon Ball Z, a lot of more episodes of Dragon Ball, just plain Dragon Ball. Let's see, what else? Case Close. I directed 10 of the Lupin the Third movies. Gosh, a lot of shows. And a lot of times, I'm also one of those people they call in if they need somebody, so I'll do that too. Now, the shows I would recommend, I would certainly recommend shows like One Piece, because that's my favorite show. And Usopp is my favorite character. I'm sorry, Full Metal Alchemist fans. I mean, I love Maze Hughes, don't get me wrong. It's just, Usopp has really won, yes, a giant nose. And I really appreciate that for doing 15 years of Krillin without a nose. So compensate and going the other way. It's funny though, they still both sound pretty nasal. And we're talking extremes and noses here. And I am cutting out, aren't I? Hello.
Yeah, well, Krillin talks like this. Usopp has that hitch in his voice.
That hitch kills me. But I thought that this character was pretty much just comic relief, you know? And I never thought that this would be my favorite acting role. In Water 7, if you guys seen the story arc in here, if you haven't, it's badass. I have to recommend this. Usopp is going, his emotional ringer. He's just going through all of these. He's sad, and he's angry, and he's pissed off at himself, and humiliated. And I really have found this has never happened to me before this. I'm recording him while he's crying, and I'm crying as I'm doing the lines. And that is, oh, I know that's sad. But after I did, I went, oh my God, this is badass. This is the best character I've ever done. So, yeah, I highly recommend that. I highly recommend Dragon Ball Z Kai, but only if you get the DVD and see it unedited. If you see when it was on Nicktoons, it was for children. We edited that show for 7-year-olds. Which, if you're 7, no offense. Okay. Yay, you. But the thing is, like, there was a line when Gohan sees all these slaughtered Namekians, and the line is, oh my God, they killed them all, right? Well, you can't say God, you just can't say kill. So they changed the line to, oh no, they made them go to sleep, or something like that. And like, well, I mean, for a 7-year-old, nap time is scary, but it really loses something in the Y7 version. And I always ask people, like, the people who don't like Dragon Ball Z Kai, I say, have you seen the unedited? And they go, no, I just saw what was on Nicktoons. Well, you don't know. The unedited is badass. Yes, Mario, you have a question.
Thank you. When you play Usopp, when you have to scream like all the time.
Like every show I do.
Yeah. Especially if there's like, well, there's a couple scenes where you scream. Is that like, what do you do to protect your voice?
I warm up beforehand. I was in choir and I was also in theater, and they teach you a lot of vocal warm-ups, like you everybody hum the highest note you can hum. And now go down to the lowest.
He's not even joking.
And another thing you do is you say the alphabet, but you pronounce it. Like you go all through the alphabet, and you get your voice really warm. That being said, a friend of mine is a vocal coach, and so she taught me a lot more vocal lessons. And then I told her, I said, well, I really need to know all the exercises, because this character I'm doing now, and I just got the role at the time, he talks like this, and normally that's the way he normally speaks. If he screams, it's worse. And she said, she said, oh my God, you need to not do that part.
And you did it
Because
anyway.
she said what you should do is warm up beforehand, and then about 4 hours after you record, you warm up again. But she said, all right, if you keep the role, do not talk for 24 hours after you do the part. So I really try to not do that. I at least try not to schedule 2 days in a row of Usopp, because it's impossible. And Mike McFarlane, who directs it, he make sure that I don't record more than 3 hours. Yeah. Any other questions? Yes.
I go to art school, and I was wondering if Funimation offers any internships or seniors.
They do. You just got to keep watching the website for when they have those come up. They come up periodically. And speaking of Usopp, now I have to get a cough drop. This is part of my regimen of daily life now, since I played Usopp. But you know what? My favorite voice actor is a guy named Mel Blanc. You guys remember Mel Blanc? For those of you who don't, you probably heard of Bugs Bunny, Porky Pig, Daffy Duck, Pepe Le Pew. He did all of those voices. And he screamed like a banshee all throughout that series. So I'm like, you know, that's your career. You know, if I can't talk when I'm 50, I can't talk when I'm 50. Which is coming up. Any other questions? Yes.
How did you get into voice acting? How did you start at Funimation? Or did it start there?
Actually, it did start there. My acting career didn't start there, though. I originally wanted to be a theater professor, and I was going to school for that. And then I started drawing these mini comics with a buddy of mine called the Sex Gophers from Hell. And we gave them out for free in Denton, Texas, where I went to UNT, actually. And we kept doing these books. We actually kind of became like local celebrities in the town. People would like, when they found out we were the Sex Gopher guys, they would buy us drinks, invite us to parties and stuff like that. So it was pretty cool. And then we did a short story called The Atomic Punk. And The Atomic Punk was actually picked up by Anarchic Press, who's here at this convention, Anarchic Press is. And when I got published, I dropped out of school and focused on comics. And that was my focus for about 10 years. And then I started getting that acting bug again. So I started doing theater in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, and Funimation moved to Texas and had open auditions for Dragon Ball Z. I didn't expect to get a part, but I landed the part of Krillin. And that was my first voice acting role. But you know, Krillin dies quite a bit. So it was a part-time job. So I was still working as a commercial artist on the side, still doing some comics here and there. And then Toonami liked what I did with Krillin and asked me to audition for Toonami Tom. And when I got Toonami Tom, I realized I kind of stumbled onto a career. And it's been, you know, guiding my life mostly for the past 15 years now. So that's how I got into it. Yeah.
Any suggestions for up-and-coming voice actors or people aspiring to be voice actors?
Yeah, get your CPA, become, no, I'm just kidding. My mother tried to get me to be an accountant for years. She didn't shut up about me being an accountant until she heard me on TV. And now she says, my son is a superhero. That's what he does. He's a superhero, he gets his ass kicked a lot, but he's a superhero. But I recommend, and you know, someone asked me, actually asked Eric Vale. You guys know who that is? Voice of Trunks, amongst other things. Sanji, yeah. Many others. I think he's America too. Italian, yeah. We were on a panel together with Kyle Hebert, who's also at this con, and about 10 other voice actors. It was a huge panel. And somebody said, how do you get into voice acting? And Eric said, hey, I want to take a poll real quick. How many people up here set out to be voice actors? No one raised their hands. And he said, okay, how many set out to be actors? All of us raised our hands. And that is a very important distinction, because your job as an actor is to audition, not to act. You'll be auditioning more than anything, and you have to make a living. And if you're only focused on voice acting, you're limiting your job potential. And if you're only voicing on anime voice acting, you're really limiting your job potential. So he suggested, and I agree with him, that you should get training in acting and learn to love the craft of acting, because you're going to want to get as much work as you can get. Because, I mean, I can't live solely off of my voice acting. Sometimes I can, sometimes I can't. Like some years it's like it's all voice acting, some years it's all comics, whatever. But you've got to have a lot of options available. There's a lot of theater companies that will pay you to act as well. So learn the craft of acting if you want to be a voice actor. Any other questions? Let's go over here.
You said you had a kid, right?
Had a what?
You had a son?
No, I have a daughter. Her name is Alicia. Watch. No, I'm just kidding. I have a daughter named Savannah, who's 20 years old now. She was closer to Alicia's age when I started the show, but now she's a hairdresser and she's doing awesome. So, what was the question?
I was wondering if you had a picture.
Oh, she's adorable! There's a good one. Zombie.
She's a badass. And I'm not just saying that because I'm Hughes. She is a badass. Any other? Yeah.
Outside of the Usopp era I mentioned earlier, what was the most emotional moment you ever had in voice acting?
I've had a lot of emotional moments. Probably one of the most disturbing moments is when I was walking in Funimation's hallways and Chris Bevins, a director there, said, "Sonny, come in, I got a part for you." And it was this guy, this fat, greasy, sweaty guy, so I thought it was typecasting. And he was buying soiled panties from a soiled panty store. I didn't know those existed. Apparently, not only do those exist, but you can buy them in vending machines. I don't know what you do with them. Make soup. So I recorded that, and then he gets like gang raped in an alley. Are there children here? Okay. And I didn't even ask what show it was because I was like, ugh. And as soon as I walked out, the most disturbing thing to me was that it didn't bother me at all. Yeah, $50 an hour is $50 an hour, doesn't matter. You know, one of the most powerful moments for me was early on, because when I was still green, I was still trying to match those mouth flaps on the screen, right? And there was a scene with Krillin, and he has this box that's going to shut down the androids. Well, he's already got a big, heavy crush on Android 18, right? So he's got this internal struggle, and luckily it was all mental lines, so I didn't have to match the mouth flaps. So I could act for the first time in this character. And something about that monologue made it click with me about who this guy really is. He's a sucker. He is looking for love in all the wrong places. I have been there. I know who you are now.
Okay, I'll date you, 18. She's my sophisticated blow-up doll.
All right. I don't have my glasses on, so I don't see if there are any children out here. Anyone under 18 in here? Okay, pretend like not. Okay. I'm an actor, and we have a hard time curbing our tongues. Anyone else have a question? Yes, over in the standing room only section.
Were you approached to be in the documentary and know that voice?
Am I what?
Were you approached to be in the documentary and know that voice? The one about the voice actors?
No. What is that? Is it a documentary about voice actors?
Yeah.
I'm hurt. Oh, no, that sucks. Any other questions? Mario, you have a question?
What funny line do you take credit for? Like, what's your funniest line that you've ever put in the show?
The funniest thing I ever had to say was from Maze Hughes, actually. And it was, "Don't fall on Daddy!" I mean, how often do you get to say that? On my anniversary, I'd say, "Please fall on Daddy." But that's different. It's not quite the same. Yeah. But also, Krillin, in one of the movies, that might have been a Broly movie where he sings karaoke. That script was written by Chris Sabat. You know who Chris Sabat is, right? And he wrote this whole song out that Krillin is karaoke. And then in parentheses at the bottom he wrote, "Or you could just wing it, Sonny." So I thought I'd wing it. And the song went, "Oh, I
I wanna be your puppy and love you always.
It's a good song. My band's gonna cover it. I think it was because of that that Funimation asked me to sing The Dragon Soul for Disc 5, I think, yeah. No, that's not why. They heard I had a band and heard my band and said, could you sing it? And I said, yeah, that would be cool. And then I got to sing for Usopp when he's the Sniper King. You guys seen that yet?
Yes.
That's badass. Sogi King, yes, I know. I've been looking forward to this for 5 years, and I'm thinking, Sogi King, Sogi King, Sogi King, Sogi King. And then the Japanese said, no, we're going with Sniper King, because it's translated. We're like, We did both versions, though, and they ended up choosing Sniper King, and I understand, because that's what Sogi means, right? Still, been badass to do it that way, because everybody's been expecting it. But now we're on television, and when you're on television, you gotta play to the lowest common denominator. You know what I mean? So, we had to go with Sniper King. Still a good song, though. And I also sing as Drossel in Black Butler. And the bridges falling down, falling. That song, if you like that song, you need to go check out my band's website. It's whitegirlstudios.com. The band's name is White Girl because my wife sings in it, and she's a white girl. And you check out London Bridge on there. We do our own version of that song, that creepy little voice. Any other questions? Yes.
Have you ever watched TFS Abridged? And if you have, how did you think they did on the voice?
I've seen Dragon Ball Z Abridged, but I haven't seen any others. That was cool, though. That's funny. The Krillin own count is genius. All we have to do is look at a record of my salaries and watch it go down. Now that Krillin got owned again. But I told those guys, listen, man, if I was doing this show, I would go even further with it. If anything is open to parody, it's Dragon Ball Z. If you could hear our outtakes, oh my God. We're not allowed to do it. But I said if I was doing it, I would have the first episode, you'd see nothing but bathroom stalls and the legs of the Z Fighters underneath, and you'd hear, like 20 minutes. Nothing but that. Followed by flushing. And it would say, in episode 1. That's where I begin the Dragon Ball Z. Because that's what it sounds like to me. So a lot of times we do record in the bathroom, that's why. It's the only way we can power up. Sean Schimmel, voice of Goku, he and I wrote a song called Power Dump one time. Power Dump! Fill up the toilet cause you water. Fill it up till it breaks the water. Power Dump! Thanks, Sean. I got a story about Sean Schimmel at Bathroom Humor. Do you want to hear it?
Yes!
I was recording him in a Lupin the Third movie, and he had intestinal problems that day, and he was telling me about it, because he likes to talk about it. He's like, dude, you do not want to come in this booth. I'm like, keep that door closed! Just farting in there all day long. And back then, the booth was about the size of a telephone booth, and it had a little hole in the back to vent it, and he was like going like a little dog, like, trying to get air. So anyway, he finishes recording, and then he leaves and shuts the door really quickly, thank goodness, right? Because he wasn't trying to share. And he left. And I went on a coffee break, and I came back, and it was time to record Laura Bailey. I had forgotten what had happened in that booth all day long. So she goes, I know, she goes in the booth, and I said, okay, Laura, your character today is, and I hear, what is that smell? I went, oh my God! Get out! Get abort! Abort the mission! What was that? I went, I forgot. Sean had gas in there all day. She went, crying. So told Sean about that the next day, and he said, yes. You have to respect that kind of evil. Any other questions? In the back. Yeah.
You mentioned before that Usopp was your favorite character. Like, who was your least favorite?
The guy buying the soiled panties.
Not even.
But generally, you're happy to be doing whatever character you're doing, you know, because you're practicing your craft, and if you're doing it well, you're really expressing the most profound empathy for this character, and you're feeling who it is. Otherwise, you're not doing your job. So generally, you have to be liking the character you're doing now, right? But even the guy with the soiled panties, I tried to figure out what his motivation was. I said soup. I was probably wrong. I don't know. You got to come up with something. And like when I did theater, one of the exercises I would do is if some of the character's past was not filled in, I would write a history for this character so I knew who he was, right? I've done the same thing with Krillin. You guys know that like 15 years ago, Ocean Group did One Piece, right? And a lot of you probably don't remember, but because we since recorded all over that stuff. But the original Krillin had a voice like this, and we were told to imitate the original cast. So I got cast because I could do that voice. Week 1, Barry Watson, who was directing it, who has a nice, profound Texas accent, said, "You know, that sounds just like Terry Clawson, but I hate that voice." I went, "Really? What do you want?" He goes, "Well, I mean, Krillin's a midget, but he's the world's strongest human being." I went, "Oh, so you want like a tough midget?" He goes, "Yeah." Well, Popeye the Sailor has always been my favorite character of anything. So I said, "What about Popeye on helium?" They're like, "What would that sound like?" And I said, "I don't know, something like this. Come on, guys, let's go." And he went, yeah, use that. So, I'm learning about Krillin, and I've read the manga, which is really good. That's a good thing for anime voice actors, is that we do have the manga to refer to. You know? That if you want to know who these characters are, read the manga. Because when you read a comic book, you have a voice in your head for each character, right? So you just listen to that and tailor it to that. And the manga covers a lot of Krillin because he's a little kid when he comes in, but we still don't know why he went to that, like it's a Shaolin temple or something like the Shaolin temple, whatever their world is equivalent to that. How did he get there? As a little kid too. Here's my theory. Popeye the Sailor Man was sailing across the Asian coastline and stops at this little village and knocks up a village girl. Then he makes off on his merry way. So the girl gets pregnant, and she's humiliated, shamed. So when she takes the baby to the Shaolin temple and drops it off there with a note saying, "Please raise my incredibly weirdly strong baby," and gives it to them, they raise him as their own. So that fills in all the blanks. Except, I think that if Krillin would just eat some spinach, he could go Super Saiyan. Even as a human. That's my theory. I don't know. Any other question? Yes.
So you mentioned having read the manga. Did you read the stuff that was for Black Butler? The original?
No, because I wasn't in Black Butler as long. I tend to read the manga of the show, especially like One Piece. I read a lot of One Piece manga. Because I'm going to be in this show for a long time. I didn't have time to read that one because it was like 3 episodes that I played Drossel. He has a huge impact on the show, and people dress up at him at cons and stuff like that, but really he's not there that long. But yeah, I do like the manga though, but I haven't tried to read much of it. Yeah?
Do you know if Funimation is planning on bringing over A-Kon versus Detective Conan?
I hope so. I brought that up myself. I've talked to Justin about that. You guys know who Justin Cook is?
Yes.
I have to credit Justin Cook every time for being really the reason Funimation produces quality work today. Well, I first have to say Chris Sabat, because when Chris took over Dragon Ball Z, the quality went way up. And then Justin directed Yu Yu Hakusho. Not Yu Yu Hakusho. And then he got Fruits Basket. Right? Well, Fruits Basket up until that point, we were always told, make it American. Americanize these cartoons, right? Well, he gets Fruits Basket and he goes, there's no way to Americanize this. This is a very Asian show, right? So he does it in a very Asian way, and it's awesome. And me and all the other directors had seen it, and we're like, this is really good. Well, we're called into a meeting, and we're told, this is how you're not to do anime. Do not do it this way. They apparently got mad at him and stuff. So, cut to a couple of months later, and the reviews for Fruits Basket comes out, and everyone loves it. And now, Justin Cook is one of our main producers. Go figure, right? So I have to give him a lot of credit. And then after that, we got Full Metal Alchemist, which was a tag team between Colleen Klinkenbeard and Mike McFarlane. And these guys, really on their game. And by this time, all the actors had pretty much got some major chops down. We'd been recording for about 4 or 5 years at that point. So that was the first show that we actually won an award for. And people stopped calling us the bane of the anime industry. And as a matter of fact, it was the first time I heard anyone say, I like the English better than Japanese. Now that's blasphemy. You shouldn't say that, but it was the first time I ever heard that. It was from that show. Yeah. What's your question?
Aside from all of the voice acting stuff that you've done, what's your favorite anime, some of your favorite anime from Funimation?
From Funimation? Okay. I was going to go elsewhere. What? Well, Speed Racer was my first anime. I was 6, I think, when that came out, and I love that show so much. They didn't make Mach 5 Hot Wheels back then, but I took my Corvette Hot Wheels and painted them to look like the Mach 5. And I met Peter Fernandez, the voice of Speed Racer, a year before he died. And it was in Canada. Yeah, he died. He's an awesome guy. And he had on his table all these Mach 5s. And he was selling them for $50 a piece. And I said, Peter, you save one of those for me because I'm buying it. He goes, buy it? Here, Sonny. And he just signed it and handed it to me. And I'm like, here comes Speed Racer. He's a demon on wheels. It was awesome. It was so incredible to meet him. He was such a good guy too. He was pushing like 90, I think. He was like, he didn't sound like Speed Racer anymore. He sounded like this, which is how I'm going to sound after Usopp. And we were doing an interview for Canadian television, and they asked me, what techniques do you use, when you're acting? And I started going off in my, acting history, like Boleslavsky, the first 6 lessons, and bullshit. And they turned to him and he goes, I just do it for the money. I hate that guy. Any other questions? Did they bring me water?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
It's poison.
I like water that has a scent of almond in it. Any other questions? Yes. Yeah.
My friend.
You know what? I have to say this. I don't have my glasses on, so I just saw kind of a blurry hand, and I heard a voice say me, and I went, yeah, I had no idea who it was. Secrets of giving public speeches. Okay, go ahead.
My friend's too scared to ask her questions on that for her. She wants to know, what does Vic Mignogna taste like?
Remarkably like chicken, but how do you stand up? Stand up. What a lot of people don't know about Vic Mignogna, I'll tell you right now, is that before he enters into a room, underneath the door, underneath the door, you see like a faint mist comes in. And then a small host of angels come in. And he walks in, and I say walk, but you gotta look really closely because his feet are about 4 inches in the ground. It's pretty amazing. Vic gave me the best birthday present last year. It's getting close to my birthday too. But he gave me a cigar, the kind that William Shatner smokes. It was a good cigar. Most cigars make me sick. This one was just like having a good time. It was cool. He said, "Hey, meet me over by the swimming pool, and I'll give you a birthday present." That sounds ominous, Vic. So I go out to the swimming pool, and there's crowds of people there. And I'm looking, I can't see him anywhere. And I see some dude wearing a baseball cap going, "Hey, hey." Is that Vic? He's incognito! So I go over there and I sit next to him. He goes, "I got you a cigar." And I'm like, "Badass." And so we're smoking cigars. It was one of the best birthday presents ever. Any other questions? Yes, way in the back.
So, you mentioned that you read the manga as sort of to the animated voice. So if you read the manga and given the fact that it wasn't finished at the time of being written manga, have you also seen Brotherhood and what do you prefer?
I like that Brotherhood, yes, I've read a lot of the manga, and I like that Brotherhood reflects the manga, but I also like the original series too, because that was very inspired. How many people prefer the original? Raise your hand. How many people prefer Brotherhood? Raise your hand. Oh, that's okay. Brotherhood. Generally, it's about 50-50. It looks like Brotherhood got about 70% of this rib, though. I like elements of both, you know. And if I narrow it down to Hughes' death scene,
Yeah.
which I love doing, by the way. I know you guys are crying, but I mean, to do an awesome, badass death scene like that is something actors dream about, you know. As a matter of fact, we don't usually get to read the scripts beforehand, but it was such a pivotal episode that Mike McFarlane gave me the script and the original Japanese to watch a week beforehand so I could see what was coming up. And it was awesome to do that scene. That scene is so tight, right? The second version is not as tight, but it's bloody. And I like that too. It just lasts, and it's just, you savor this terrible, terrible moment. And it's so cool. And then he finally gets a little closure at the end, you know, he gets to say goodbye in his head at least, you know, to his family, which is kind of cool too. Yeah.
You said you got to hear the original Japanese.
Oh, stand up and face the audience. They got to see who's asking this question.
What did you think of Keiji Fujiwara, the original voice of Hughes?
Oh, that was good. But you know, I didn't hear it until after I did it.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, because at that time, we didn't have as much access to, you know, things like that. Was YouTube even around then? Because
No.
if it wasn't any good.
Not really.
Right. So, yeah, so we didn't, you know, nowadays, if I'm auditioning, like when I auditioned for Appa-chan on Kenichi, right? I watched the Japanese. And the original Japanese, he speaks on this level the whole time. And it's funny, right? But I thought, now he's supposed to be a foreigner, so in our version, he's going to speak broken English, you know. Wouldn't it be funnier though if he's like this big guy? He's like, Muay Thai is the art of killing a man. And then he would slip into that high voice like a nervous tick. Appa! You know, like, kill him! Appa! So I did that at the audition, and Monica Rial was the director, and she said, "Oh, wow, that's interesting." So she cast me as that. It was cool. Kenichi, I never thought I would like Kenichi. I liked Appa-chan's lines, but I thought, it's just a fighting show, right? And I watched it, it's really good, you know? Yeah.
Apart from the gas chamber with Sean and the cigars with Vic, what's your favorite memory to have like with other actors or voice actors, like outside of the end?
Oh, outside?
Yeah, just like your favorite memory.
You want to share everything. I can't tell that story.
What's your favorite two that you can give?
Oh, I know what it was. Colleen Klinkenbeard and I were going to a convention, and I can't even remember where it was, but we had a layover in one airport, and Colleen comes from a pretty well-to-do family, right? And she saw they're building the tile floors of the airport, right? And she said, you know, I never did any kind of manual labor or anything like that my whole life. And I said, hang on. So I went up to the foreman and I said, hi. And it was her birthday that weekend. I said, this is my friend Colleen. It's her birthday this weekend. She has never, ever done manual labor. Could she put a tile down in this airport? And they said, yeah, okay. So there she was, tiling the airport, and that was my birthday present to her. Ask Colleen which one it is. I think it's Phoenix, but I'm not sure. That problem, it might be because Phoenix has a lot of layovers. Any other questions? Yeah.
Before your career took its start, what inspired you to go into your love and interest in acting?
Probably my dad. My dad was not an actor, but he did impressions of cartoon characters. And he used to do Donald Duck all the time. And he read this book to me once in Donald Duck, and it was a book about Donald Duck. And I watched him do it, and I was 4 years old, and he went to work, and I was practicing that voice all day long. And he came home and he said, "Hi, Sheldon." And I went, "Hi, So I started coming up with more voices just to please him, and I started memorizing comedy routines, like from Bill Cosby and things like that, because it just made him happy. And when my parents split up, though, when I was 12, and the day my dad was moving, he said, "So what are you going to be taking to school next year?" And I said, "I don't know, band, I guess." And he said, "You should take theater." Now, my dad is a biker, tough guy from Mississippi. Not the thing I expected to come from him. As a matter of fact, I wanted to take theater, but I figured in my small town of Mesquite, Texas, you know where that is? Back then we had 70,000 people and they were all rednecks. Now they're meth heads, so, it's cool. So I was afraid to take theater because I don't want to be called fag. Now call me a fag, it's cool. But, so I didn't take it, but he said, "You should take theater because you're such a clown anyway, you'd probably be pretty good at it." So, and then he took off and left, and I was like, okay, well, if my dad, the toughest guy in the world, says theater is the place to be, I can do it. And I did, and I excelled in it. My mother is the one that taught me how to draw. When I was 6 years old, she was trying to get me to do something in my room instead of bother her. And she took this picture of Beetle Bailey's dog from the newspaper, and she drew cartoons all the time. She said, "I want you to go to your room and draw this dog, but I want you to come out until it looks just like that dog." So I figured it was some kind of puzzle to figure out, and I noticed if I locked my eyes on a line there, I could basically trace it off to the side. And when she saw me draw that, then she's like, "Draw this, draw this, draw this." So really, I think I'm just trying to get more approval from my parents. That's my whole life. Like most of us. Any other questions? Yes. Oh wait, what's back there? Yeah.
I have a question.
Okay.
If you had a choice, which character would you love to be a voice actor for?
Probably Krillin, Mace Hughes, Lupin the Third, Usopp probably, Apachai I would like to do, Bardock is a badass. Actually, I've been really, really fortunate. The characters that I wanted really badly, I tended to get, maybe because I wanted them that badly. The only show that I didn't get a main part on that I really wanted to be a main part on was Sergeant Frog. Are you kidding me? Have you heard what I do? But I ended up being on the show anyway later, but that's okay. Any other questions? Yes?
What's your favorite book, show, movie of all time? Doesn't have to be any.
My favorite book is a book called Zen and the Art of Motorcycle Maintenance. It's a great show, a great book. My favorite movie is It's a Wonderful Life. Yeah. Mary, don't you recognize me? Let's see what else. What was the other question?
Show.
Show. Like theater show?
Like TV show.
Oh, TV show. Oh, that's not a cool question. What's my favorite TV show right now? Weeds was for a while. Breaking Bad was for a while, but I'm kind of tired of it now. Doctor Who. I love Doctor Who. That's my favorite show. And the geek comes out. Any other questions? Yes.
What's your zombie survival plan?
I am not going to survive the zombie apocalypse, I'm sad to say. Not because I'm a really good shot. My dad, taught me how to shoot when I was 5. But because I have 2 Chihuahua Poodle mixes, I I have a Chihuahua pug mix, he'll survive, because he's a badass. One of the Chihuahua poodles might survive because she's really smart, and the other one's really smart, but she's so little. She's this big. And I would be worried about her too much, and I would get eaten. Because I might have to put her, maybe if I put her in a backpack, I could survive. That's the first thing. Put my dogs in a backpack and run. I would probably go to some place like Idaho, like yeah, Boise is a good place because it's surrounded by hills, so it'd take a while for the zombies to get there. There's few people there, so you can kill the zombies that are there easier. Yeah, that's my plan. I'm going to Boise. Yeah. Favorite superhero? I really like Green Lantern, but I don't like the movie that he was in recently. I like, but as a comic book, I love him as a comic book character, and I love the Flash. Those are my two favorites, but I love a lot of comic book characters, so I'm a big geek. Yeah?
Now, when you studied acting, did you go for like private lessons, or did you go to like school for it, or what?
Both. I focused on it in high school, freshman through senior, and then I did it at 2 different universities. And while I was in high school, there's a school called East Texas State University, which doesn't exist anymore. It was in Commerce, Texas. And I think it's the school's still there. I think it's a branch of A&M now. But every year they would have drama camp. And one time at drama camp, seriously, drama camp's wild. But I went there every summer, and it was incredible training. And that's what actually made me want to be a theater professor, because the theater professors taught the summer school, and they were so cool. And I was like, I want to go to that school, I want to be a professor at that school, that's my goal. So, you know, the comics took me away from it. Yeah?
At the Funimation holiday parties, are you generally Santa Claus, or do they just ask you for that one episode?
About what?
The Funimation Christmas party episode for the Funimation.
Oh, yeah. When I played Santa Claus?
Yeah.
Yeah, they asked me if I would do it. That was fun. Have you guys seen that? I think it's still on the Funimation.com site, right? Yeah, look it up. The Funimation Christmas special. And I played Santa Claus. I was about 20 pounds heavier then, so I've been a really good Santa Claus. Yes, in the back there.
Besides, you said you grew up watching Speed Racer. Are you in college? What other anime did you watch?
Anime was not that big when I was in college. It got a resurgence about 10 years after I was out of college. And I remember a show called Project A-Kon. You guys seen that?
Yes.
It's really good. And if you like superheroes, it's awesome. Just for the last episode. But yeah, that was the show that I learned why you gotta be a really good dubber. Because I saw a dub of it years later, and it was horrible. It suddenly was my least favorite show. And so after I saw it, I understand when fans say, I don't like dubs. Because they can ruin a show, you know, if you don't feel the heart of what's going on. Yeah?
Preferred superpower and why?
Well, here's what I would do if I had one superpower. This is my superpower, and I've thought about this a lot. I would want the ability to mentally slap people in the back of the head. And when that happens, they would instantly know why they got hit and would correct their behavior. Just driving alone, I would make the world a better place. I would just drive around, go swap, 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 swap. Hello? Oh, yeah, right, I should do that. Next, so that's my superpower. Yeah.
So what really happened when you had to show 4th season?
I don't know. And you know what? I bet if I did, I wouldn't be able to say. Right? Yeah.
Are there any differences in acting for like an anime or a video game?
Yeah, the video game, depends on the video game you're doing. Like when you're doing anime-related video games, it's very similar, except you don't have a screen. You hear the Japanese really fast, you know, and you just try to repeat it. Like they go, ah, ooh, ooh, ah. You just try to repeat those noises and stuff like that. When I did Explosion Man, That was completely different. That was just like, basically the director came in and just let me go nuts, you know, and I just went crazy with it. Explosion Man is a really fun game. You should check it out. In the back. Oh, what I did, we did Ice Age 2. We had the video game for that. That's nothing big deal. But I got it because I could sound like, Kid the Sauce? Is there anyone who cares about Kid the Sauce? So I practiced this voice and I got cast, but as soon as I got cast, there was no lines. It was just him making noises like, stuff like that. Yeah.
What is your favorite theatrical musical and non-musical show?
Musical. You know, this is stupid, but I like Guys and Dolls. I like Chorus Line. Yes, I do. And my non-musical play of all time is William Shakespeare's A Midsummer Night's Dream. I've been involved with that show 3 times. Once I played Demetrius, once I directed it, and the other time I played Puck. This book is actually those characters and what they're doing today. So it's like the long-awaited sequel. He wasn't doing anything with it. Not tired of waiting. Yeah.
Do you do your Explosion Man voice?
Oh God, he was all over the map. Something like that. He does that a lot too when he's running. Yeah.
Are you selling that at your stand at the
I am selling this at Artist Alley. It's $5, and if you get a copy, I draw your favorite character. I do a voice for on the back. So be sure to catch me at my table in Artist Alley. I'm in Island B. Don't get off the jumping too much. Just I say she, but it's really me, Suze, right? So. Yeah. Oh wait, you already asked a question. You just asked a question. That would not be fair to someone over here. No. 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 Oh what?
You asked me twice. You hurt and then you hurt.
Oh, you? Well, you can ask a question. Sock Monkey can't ask a question now. Yes.
Star Wars or Star Trek?
I will not choose. If you take me to outer space, I'm going. And if you, well, not the last 3 Star Wars movies, oh my God. But I'm looking forward to seeing what J.J. Abrams does with the next one. Oh my God, did you see Star Trek? Oh my God! I saw it twice, and I need to see it 3 more times. I don't, if you don't like it, I don't care, don't tell me, because you're wrong. Because it's so good. Oh my God, Spock kicks ass. And you know, and I think that is the perfect setup that now they can actually start, you know, because they're going to go on their 5-year mission now. It's cool. I love it. Yeah, and I saw, let me tell you, I saw Star Trek with 2 guys who are Star Wars people. I didn't know this going in. I need to screen them. And so I'm sitting there watching this movie, and I'm just like freaking out, and they said, it's okay. I'm like, what? Well, I'm more into Star Wars. Get out of here! Yeah. Yeah, just leave me out. You're gonna leave now? Oh my God, my feelings are so hurt. I understand, this is a very long panel, it's an hour and a half. If anyone wants to leave now, as a matter of fact, let's just all go get some ice cream or something. What do you think? Is there ice cream around here? I'm hungry for ice cream.
There's a snow cone truck.
Am I buying? You guys think that voice actors make a lot of money, don't you? Well, actually, you know, the money we make is pretty good per hour, but you don't work 40 hours a week, you know? Like, we make $50 to $500 an hour, depending on what we're doing, right? But the $500 an hour don't come around that often. And the $50 an hour do come around more often, but it's not usually full-time. So, does anyone want to buy me an ice cream? That's what I'm saying. Okay, you will? You will? Okay, I can only eat 1. Oh, you will? Okay.
I'll buy you a snow cone.
You know what? Just buy me a drink later. That'd be better. With ice cream in it.
Root beer float.
What time is it? Oh, okay, we've got 30 minutes. I tell you what I'm going to do, guys. I'll answer a couple more questions, and if you guys have something for me to sign, I will sign as many as I can get to in that 30 minutes, okay? So, and if you want to buy a book, I have a few here that $5 I'll sell to you now, or just catch me at my table, because I'll be here all weekend. One more question. You haven't asked a question, please.
Aside from your father, who inspired your voice acting?
Mel Blanc inspired my voice acting, because that's what I wanted to do. All right, one more question. Yes?
Have you ever gotten drunk and started doing your own voices while you're writing or something?
I am sure I have. Promise I can't remember them, but yeah. You know, I was kind of a little tipsy walking around a convention in Florida one time, and I walked by the swimming pool, and this lovely young lady in the water says, "You're Miss Hughes!" And I said, "Yeah," and she flashed me. And there was a friend of hers in the water next to her, and he was just like this. And I said, "Son, you've never seen this side of her, have you?" And he goes, I said, "You owe me." All right, you guys, if you got something for me to sign, come on up here and throw a line over here. Otherwise, thank you so